Hey y'all, welcome back to the Prime Sports Network podcast. I, the host, Centino, with my co-host Braden Dowers. Say hi.
Hello.
Today we're just going to be going over essentially just a fourth quarter overall of the off season between preseasons, roster cuts, and then a little bit of a look into early regular season and how that might play out. To get started off, I think we're just going to go right into roster cuts. We're going to start with the offense, and then we'll gradually go into the defense. And then, within that, we'll talk about some certain positional spots, and who will be starting, who will make the roster, and then right after that, we'll go into a little bit of a preseason recap. And to end it off, we'll go with a regular season assumption with those early couple games, and especially with that Colts game, and who we will have to play against at quarterback, whether that's Carson Wentz or is it Jacob or Jason Eason? I think it's Jason.
Jacob.
Jacob. Yeah.
Because Ellinger's out, and they had a couple other players go down as well.
Yeah, I don't think they should play Carson Wentz. That's too early. Just don't. Anyway, we'll get into that later. First off, offense, roster cuts. I guess we'll go by position. So first and foremost, let's just get it over with quarterback. I seriously wonder who we're gonna start at quarterback. I don't know. I just don't know. No, in all seriousness.
I think the only question at quarterback is, does Mannion make the roster? Because Russ and Gino are kind of like your number 1 and 2, but it's just a matter of, do we actually want to keep a third string quarterback on roster? I think Mannion probably will make it, but he could be a cut candidate. I could see him not being on the team for sure.
Well, this is true. I mean, from what we've seen in the preseason from him, he's not terrible. I can say
definitely better than Magoo.
He is better than Alex. I think they pronounce it Magoo. It's either Magoo or Magoo. Regardless, he doesn't deserve the respect. He doesn't deserve to be called what his actual last name is pronounced. Because just straight bum, like terrible. We had him on roster last year.
I think we
didn't. Or practice squad.
A waste of a spot.
Still, he was a waste of space and a body just to absolutely shit the bed. And most notably, second preseason game against the Raiders, right? No? Broncos. That's right. Yeah. Terrible performance, and that's why he got cut the next day. I would honestly say, I think Mannion, it just is going to depend on if we need an extra roster spot or not for somebody that, would be a little more valuable to the team on game day, that we'd like to check out. He's not bad. When we brought him in, I was like, this is all for scheme, just because he knows Shane Waldron. It has nothing to do with any sort of quarterback stuff. Like, we all knew Geno Smith was going to be QB2. I mean, shoot. The preseason game last night between the Chargers, what was it? Didn't he play the whole first quarter?
First half, basically, and he just
first half. Yeah, he was freaking slinging balls, like typical Geno Smith stuff. So to chalk it up, I think it's more of a, do we need a roster spot that's more valuable than him being there on game day, which I have a feeling will happen. So next position we'll probably go to, I want to start with the wide receivers just because of how many we have. Obviously, there's no debate between Metcalf and Lockett, Freddie Swain for sure. Eskridge. One of the names that does kind of stick out to me, or two, is between Cody Thompson and Aaron Fuller.
Yeah, for sure. I think you have a surefire number 1 and 2 with DK and Lockett, whatever. Eskridge and Freddie are probably going to be competing for that number 3 spot. I liked what we saw from Eskridge last night in that Chargers game. He played for like 2 drives, but the 2 plays that he made were really good plays. And I think Waldron's going to be able to use him pretty well in that offense. So I think Eskridge is probably going to go in as the number 3 with Freddie at the number 4. And then it's just a matter of who do we want out of Penny Hart, Aaron Fuller, Robertson, Thompson, Travis, and Weddington. I think what you said is pretty solid. Fuller and Thompson are probably those 2 like front runners for that position. I like Fuller. Last night there was 2 plays in a row that I watched him that I was very impressed by. I think Penny Hart's also in that conversation. It's just a matter of who gets that number 5 spot. I don't think Travis, Weddington, or Robertson probably get it. I think it's really between Hart, Fuller, and Thompson. So yeah.
I had who was it that went down in the second preseason game that I was hopeful for? He was on Ursua.
Yeah.
Man, I wanted that dude to be good. I was hoping he would get that 5th slot, but he went down, and that's just unfortunate. I remember Penny Hart. I didn't care too much for the guy. But yes, Aaron Fuller last night, for sure. He took some hits too, like slammed on the ground and then got right back up, like it was nothing.
Caught another pass.
Not to mention I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that this last preseason game against the that beautiful punt, he was able to scoop the ball back, and made it, what is that term called? Like, keep it in bounds kind of thing? Yeah.
Not keep it out of the end zone.
Exactly, yeah. And I
good
feel like
special teams player. If he makes plays at receiver well, I think he has a roster spot almost locked up. So I definitely like what I've seen from Aaron Fuller.
For sure. So yeah, just capping it all off between Metcalf, Lockett, Freddie, Eskridge. Now, between Freddie and Dwayne Eskridge, there is a little bit of talk between who gets the 3rd spot between, 3 or 4. Obviously, everybody's saying it's Eskridge, but I feel like it's not unheard of that Freddie Swain will take over that 3rd spot over Eskridge. So
yeah, I think Travis and Weddington get cut. I think Hart probably might get practice squad. I'm not sure if he's eligible. Thompson, kind of same thing. Robertson, kind of same thing. Like, those are 3 just bubble guys who might make the practice squad.
Right. Yeah. Unless one of those guys, for some reason, and I didn't see, they did some good special teams things, but that's unlikely, and that's something I'm not very keen on to looking for, because I'm on offense and defense. I don't really look too well for special teams unless it's like kicking and punting and who made that tackle and kind of stuff like that. But next up, we can kind of go through. Let's weed out the small stuff, and then we'll end off with like the center and running back situation. Let's go with the tight ends. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6 tight ends on just like the team in general.
Yeah, we got 6 tight ends on roster. Parkinson's probably going to go on the IR for a bit. So really, we're only going to go into the season, or right now where we have 5, we're probably only going to go in with 3. So right now, Everett Everett and Disley, those are your surefire number 1 and 2. And then it's just a matter of, does Cam Sutton get a spot? What about Bunting and Mabry? Um, it's just who wins that third spot, and I think from last night it's kind of clear that Cam Sutton's going to win it. He looks solid. I think they're going to carry him on roster. They'll probably carry Bunting or Mabry on practice squad because you need tight end depth. You need players that are familiar with the system. And I think both of them have done an okay enough job, Mayberry especially. So it'd be nice.
Boy, I can think of a real great depth tight end that would be real nice right about now. But it's a shame he retired on the first day of practice. Luke Wilson, like, look, that was one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time. Like, he was like, you know, oh, let's go. I'm ready to be back. And everybody was all happy that we got Luke Wilson back for depth after Parkinson went down. First day of practice, he showed up. Not even 24 hours later, Luke Wilson is officially retiring. And I'm pretty sure he said in a statement, it was about like his body, and he's like,
he had like a heart problem or something.
Yeah, he's got something going on, and I mean, it doesn't hurt anybody, but it's definitely a waste of time because, you know, if we weren't looking at Luke Wilson, who else would we have been looking at? Like somebody else that, you know, wouldn't have wasted our time. And I just remember like Seahawks fans on Twitter just like going crazy about how, oh, we got him back, let's go. He even posted on his Twitter a little gif of Luke Skywalker pulling off the not headdress, the robe. And it was just kind of cool. And then I will give him credit for the gif he made after the retirement announcement came out.
Throws the lightsaber away.
Yeah, he's got some jokes, but it is a shame because now it's like, well, I mean, Cam Sutton's fine. I'm totally fine with it. I don't even think he'll even see a snap of regular season football unless Will Disley or Gerald Everett get injured. Pray to God they don't. But you know, it just, I don't know. It's not that big of a deal. But
would be a shame, or only if we had some guy on the Bills might be named Jacob Hollister.
Oh my gosh, that was so sad. I turned on the preseason game at work, and it was the Bills game, and I was just, you know, I was working, and so I wasn't really paying attention too much. And I looked back at the screen a couple times, and next thing I know, I see Jacob Hollister catch I think it was like a 11-yard pass. I don't know. He did something good, and I saw him stand up, and I see the back of his jersey, and it says Hollister, and I just like, oh man, that's so sad. Because what was it? The Packers game in the division round in 2019? No.
Yep.
Yeah.
The 2020-2019 season.
Yeah, 2020-2019 season. He was doing really well when Disley went down. I mean, he was solid. He did what he needed to do, and I'm kind of not jealous, but I'm happy for him. But it also makes me sad that he's not on the roster. So,
offensive line.
Ooh, let's go with. I want to talk about left tackle, just because with Stone Forsythe, such a, like, everybody's saying he's like the next coming of Jesus to our team. I don't understand why they're so excited about him.
He's looked okay in preseason, but I'm still not too high.
Yeah. I don't even think he's better than DeMarco Jones. Even though I saw a clip, they snapped the ball and he didn't even move. And everybody was like making fun of him. He's like, thank God it's preseason, because he just stood there and didn't move. Now with Forsythe, even with when we picked him, I didn't like it because I feel like, you know, I mean, I guess at that late that late in the draft, you can pick anybody, and you shouldn't be mad or happy about it because it's like kind of the scraps. But I didn't really feel that great about it because I'd look at his film and it was just kind of like, okay, I don't see anything special about this at all. It's not like he's doing anything, and I feel like most of his clips were on double teams, which I feel like as a tackle, you shouldn't have your clips be on double teams. I saw him get burned a couple times in that second preseason game against the Broncos. Somebody just hooked around that edge, and he just totally, like, I don't know if he didn't get off the ball fast enough or just didn't do his like kickback step quick enough, but somebody just ran right around him. And then there was another clip and play. I think it was in the first preseason game. They had somebody off the blitz, as well as, you know, the defensive end that he was having to cover. It was actually on that play that Geno Smith got concussed. That blitzer that just went straight to him and, you know, freaking speared Geno. Everybody was saying, like, you know, Stone Forsythe probably should have got him, but the dude was coming full speed. I don't know what you're supposed to do there at that point. He's got the guy he's supposed to get, but, like, I feel like that shouldn't be his fault. And I don't know. I feel like, to really sum it up, it's going to be 50-50. I think he should develop more, which is...
He'll make the roster for sure.
Yeah.
And I think Jamarco Jones will make the roster just because of his versatility and ability to play left tackle, left guard, right tackle. Like, I've seen him play everywhere on the line in the regular season, so I think he makes the roster because of that. Dwayne Brown, I pray to God that he doesn't hold out until the start of the season. I don't think that he will.
I don't know, dude. This of these players just kind of, it worries me in the way that, like, dude, you're what, 30, 33, 34?
35.
35.
Yeah.
You're 35 and you're holding out and you're just not practicing at all. I hope you're doing some practicing at home, like, to stay in shape.
I mean, last year, the big concern for why Seattle isn't re-signing him or giving him an extension is because of the second half of last year. Like, yeah, Dwayne was good. He was really good last year. He's a top 10 tackle in the league. But his body just gave out on him in the second half, and he didn't practice at all in the middle of the weeks. And he would literally only play during the games. Mm-hmm. And that's because he's so skilled, he was able to still do so good. But I think Seattle's worried, like, I think his body's giving out on him. I don't know if we should be giving him 2 extra years of security because...
Right.
You don't want to give somebody a contract whose body just isn't going to work with him.
Yeah. I think that despite how old you are, who you are, and what you do, there's no reason to not do anything up until the regular season, because I can think of a certain individual that acts the same way, except he's a little different because he wouldn't even get on a team or roster until a week before the regular season, and that guy goes by the name of Jadeveon Clowney. The dude hates training camp so much he doesn't get signed to a team until after. And it really showed once those regular season Titans games came around. Wouldn't you know, what was it? Week 3, injured, pretty much like on and off or done for the season. Like, dude, with these old bodies, you got to keep them moving in some fashion, whether that's even just like going through walkthroughs or, you know, doing just even thuds. Just do thuds, because if you stop, you're going to lock up and you're going to get rusty, and God knows what's going to happen, whether it's, you know, ACL tear or, you know, you break something. And Dwayne Brown is such a valuable spot on our, especially offensive line, let alone to our just offense in general, because the dude, like, saved our offensive line in some ways. I would say saved Russell Wilson's life a couple times.
Yes.
He's very valuable, and I don't think, I would not risk losing him. I will give him a contract if it does mean that he can stays consistent and stays healthy. But yeah, it kind of bugs me. So, but let's move into both of our guard spots, and then we'll go on to like right tackle or something, because right tackle is kind of like, Um, left guard.
Lewis and Simmons, pretty solid.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We have two bodies, Elland and Hawker. They're not making roster. I think left guard's pretty simple. I like what I've seen out of Simmons. Damian Lewis, I think, is going to have a great sophomore season. Love the pick of him last year. Just from watching his stature and press conferences, like he just looks ready. Like he already looks like a veteran. He looks like he knows what he's doing. So I'm excited to see him take a second-year jump. And then at right guard, Gabe Jackson, got him in the offseason. Good move. Like it. Definitely going to help cheer up the line.
I 100% agree he's going to have a nice sophomore season. But please, for love of God, he needs to fix his penalty issues. Because
he got better at that as the season got on.
Yeah, but it was
definitely
bad.
Those early games last year. He had a couple holding calls that were like, "Come on."
Yeah, it was a couple false starts and mostly holding. It's like, dude, you have the skill. Just don't mess up.
Yeah.
Stop.
But yeah, right guard Gabe Jackson and Haynes. I like both of them. Haynes has done really good this preseason.
Didn't Haynes play a couple center snaps?
Yeah, he played solid at center. And then the only offensive lineman that is kind of like a bubble guy that I could see making the roster is Jake Curhan. He played at right tackle last night, and he was solid. Like, I think him and Jamarco Jones were the tackles. Jamarco wasn't great, but Curhan was pretty solid, and he got ample playing time at right tackle. And since he's even listed as a right guard, that shows that he has versatility nonetheless. So he's somebody that I'd keep an eye out on for possibly making the roster. Bare minimum, I'd like to see him on the practice squad, but I have been impressed by him. And then Lestage, I'm not even sure if I remember hearing that name at all in any of the games or in any of the coverage of training camp. So he's probably not making the roster either.
Yeah, from even looking at offensive line, I will even state that I am new to understanding and even knowing of offensive line on like football or on like these NFL teams, because I am on like my third year of actually like getting into this stuff, and from what I can see, and I don't know if it's the same for other teams, but I feel like you're like automatically more valuable and most likely going to make the roster if you can be versatile. And people like Jake Curhan and Jamarco Jones, and even Phil Haynes, like you're most likely making roster if you can play that position that you're assigned as well as something else that we might need you at. So I think that's very valuable, and some of these other guys that just can only do what they're assigned is, you're either the best or you're not on the team. So that's just kind of how it works. Right tackle, Brandon Shell and Cedric, and Tommy Champion. I'm gonna say right now, Tommy Champion will not make roster.
No, he's not making roster.
I don't think he'll make roster. Now, Brandon Shell and Cedric, I believe in them. I believe in Brandon Shell, but sometimes I just like having a safety net, and I just don't know if I see Cedric being a for sure safety net, because I just
He was
have this
terrible
gut.
last year.
Yeah, he was not very good last year. Um, I, I think he's gotten better. From what I've heard, he's gotten better in practices, and I think he played every preseason game, but he was pretty good. So I'm not entirely too worried about right tackle, as opposed to this upcoming position that we're going to talk about. But other than that, I think just Tommy Champion's just going to get booted. So I'd like to see him on practice squad. But all right, so center, the most like 50-50 spot on the roster. I would even say the offensive line, or just offense in general. I started out at the beginning of the off season and the season, or at the end of last season and the beginning of off season and up until now. I've been saying and wanting and pleading that the Seahawks do not roll with Ethan Posick. I don't believe in him. Listen, he was great in some points last season, but he's injury prone. This just reminds me of is it who was our last center? He was also white. I think he's on the Colts
Justin
now.
Britt.
Yeah, Justin Britt. Justin Britt with his freaking injuries, like, yeah, he's great, but he gets injured like every other week. Like, I don't need that. I would rather
the
just
difference between Posick and Britt, though, is that Britt was consistent up until he had that ACL tear, and he just hasn't found his, or it might have been Achilles.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been able to find his way back into the league since then. But Justin Britt was always a solid, solidified number one center. Posick was an above average, at best, center before he got hurt. I think right before that Rams game, I think in the Bills game. But after that Rams game, he was just kind of bad. He just didn't have it. He just got out of rhythm, and he hasn't been healthy this year either. I don't think that he played a single snap in the preseason, so I think Fuller has earned the job because he's looked solid in the preseason. Haynes also took a couple snaps at center. I think he's somebody that could get a little bit of playing time if Fuller doesn't do good. But I think Fuller's for sure earned the spot, and Posick, it definitely isn't the future. And I don't think Fuller's the future, which is why we needed to address center in the offseason. London Blade, also somebody who's probably getting cut. I don't think he'll make practice squad, but he's also somebody that I recognized as somebody who is playing well. With the third stringers yesterday, he looked solid. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
It won't be enough. It never is with this offensive line. Posick, I think he's only practiced like a quarter of the entire training camp this offseason, just because he's been on and off with like, what is it, like a hamstring injury. It's just kind of one of those like, come on, dude, really? And I'm kind of not happy with Pete and his just like he has these certain guys on roster sometimes that he just like has this gut feeling and goes with it, and his gut feeling is terrible, and it doesn't take a genius to know that is stupid. And going with Ethan Posick at the beginning of the offseason and not doing anything else.
When Corey Linsley's there,
oh my god,
Creed Humphreys.
I don't know how we didn't. We should have been the leading team on Rodney Hudson. Rodney Hudson would have been perfect. Like, and I don't even think it was for very much either. They didn't. What, the Cardinals? Yeah, that is nothing. I would have rather. Who did we draft in the third?
Nobody, because we
didn't. Yeah, we didn't draft anybody. I would have even traded our second round pick. I know that says a lot, but hey, who was our second round pick? Dwayne Eskridge, I would say gadget guy or just guy that's like one of those go deep. I mean, even from looking at Eskridge, his film after we drafted him, I was like, this dude is a gadget guy. There's like, I mean, all he does is a couple deep passes and like no, especially with who did the Chiefs pick up that center that was right there? Yeah, Creed Humphreys. Boy, that would have been nice. He's the starting center for them now, and he's doing great. I would have even putting that into perspective. Dwayne Eskridge at 2, or for your second, or Rodney Hudson, please, or Creed Humphreys, please, young rookie center that you can trust for a long time, or even Rodney Hudson, who is a top 3 center in the league.
Yeah.
Or Dwayne Eskridge, a gadget guy. No, that's stupid. But no, let's roll with Ethan Posick because, I think we'll be fine. No. Kyle Fuller, I really hope he does do better than Posick. And I hope it's not it's not like bad, but I hope it's good enough because center, we've had some pretty interesting people play center since Justin Britt, right? Left.
Yep.
Who was that?
Joey Hunt.
Joey Hunt. Oh no. He was so short. He was getting freaking
Just bulldozed over.
The dude was on his back heels every single snap against specifically the Rams. I felt bad for the dude, but I respect him because he tried and he tried with his height. But yeah, bottom line, Ethan Posick, not the move. Kyle Fuller, I pray to God you're just like this, calm at the end of the storm, so that we can just roll, get the job done. And I think that is it for the offensive line. We did tight ends. Now let's go to one of the more, I would say, if not the biggest conversation as of recent with the offense, and that is the running back room. I don't think we would even be talking about it like we are now if it wasn't for Alex Collins last night against the Chargers.
No. I think that the running back room was kind of set, not really. That was the biggest battle that I think we saw in the preseason. Carson's your number one. I think that's kind of obvious. DJ Dallas, really good at returning on special teams. Also broke away on a couple runs in that first Raiders preseason game where he had like that 43-yard touchdown. Looked pretty solid. Good, solid receiving back. And then Alex Collins looked solid in the first 2 games, but then last night just absolutely went off and obliterated the Chargers defense. He was the main look to on offense. Just kept getting swing passes, kept making defenders miss, kept running through tackles and everything else, and he looked great. We also played Ty Johnson, who also looked solid. I really hope that he gets a practice squad spot. I'm not sure if he'll make the running back room or on roster. I almost hope that he does. But yeah, Alex Collins, I think going into the season is your running back number 2. DJ Dallas, kind of like he's going to be available there. I think you use him more as a returner because he was great in the return game. You can also throw the ball out to him. He looks solid. Johnson, like I said, looked good in the limited snaps that he got. And I think you go into the season carrying those 4 running backs. Now, that bears the question, what do you do with Rashad Penny and Travis Homer? Travis Homer you cut. Travis Homer is not good. He is not good at anything. Every single running back on the roster is better than him at literally everything. He is not better than any of the running backs at anything uh, that running backs are supposed to do. He's not better at catching than anybody. He's not better at running than anybody. He's not better at trucking than anybody. He's not better at making guys miss than anybody else. He is by far the worst running back on roster. And then you got Rashad Penny. I think you trade him to Baltimore. J.K. Dobbins is now out for the entire year with an ACL tear. Trade him. Trade him for a late round pick. Doesn't matter what, trade him. He didn't look good last night. The moment that he was met with contact, he got hit and he didn't go anywhere. Whereas Alex Collins or Ty Johnson, they'd get hit and then they'd bounce it out and then they'd take it up for 10 yards and make something out of nothing. Penny was, I think, outside of the little streak that he went on in 2019 before that Rams game where he had that ACL tear, he's not good. Like, there's no reason to continue the Rashad Penny experiment and get what you can out of him before his rookie contract ends this year.
I agree mostly with, it's kind of a shame because Travis Homer, we all had that Travis Homer hype in that, the end of that 2019 or in that 2019, 2020 year.
He was solid in that playoff run against
when Chris Carson laid down and died at the freaking Cardinals Stadium. They should burn it down.
That was in Seattle, but
it was. I forgot about that. When Chris Carson laid down and died, Travis Homer and Rashad Penny had to take over. And
Penny was hurt with his ACL tear.
I thought Penny took over because Chris Carson laid
so the sequence of events was Penny got hurt in the Rams game that year, that Sunday Night Football game, tore his ACL. Carson then broke his hip. We had another running back. It might have been CJ Procise or something. I forget.
Probably.
Broke something. So then we had to go with Travis Homer. And then that led to us signing Marshawn Lynch, which was glorious.
There was not, despite knowing that I knew we weren't going to get very far in that playoffs, but just the return of Marshawn Lynch and Robert Turbin, you can't get any better than that because that's just like what the fans want. That's like one of the first times that I've been able to, be like, oh, the Seahawks should sign this because I think it'd be cool and funny. And then they did it, and it was glorious. And then we had Marshawn Lynch run on the one.
Every single game that we were in the red zone, we had Marshawn Lynch go out there and take it in for a touchdown.
Exactly. And I also loved just the little throwbacks of people throwing Skittles on the field. It was just a blast from the past, and it just makes me really miss him. But I will say, and I know I'm only saying this just because, two dudes with dreads and a visor, Alex Collins you could put Lynch on the back of his freaking jersey, and I would be like, yes, this is it. I'm not saying Alex Collins will be or is Marshawn Lynch, but it's just
they have the same play style.
They just seem the same to me. But with the running back room, my prediction and something that I hope happens is Chris Carson takes that RB1 spot. RB2, I will say Alex Collins. Just from last night, he was a dog. He was a dog last night. And I think he's earned himself a RB2 spot because he got way more reps, but that was also because he started outplaying and outperforming Rashad Penny. Travis Homer's a bum. He's got to go. I'm not sticking with this dude anymore. I feel like if anybody's going to take that practice squad spot, it needs to be Josh Johnson. But yes, so RB1, Chris Carson, RB2, Alex Collins. Now RB3, DJ Dallas or Rashad Penny. You made a good point with trading Rashad Penny to the Ravens. I would love it because we need some compensation back for making that stupid pick. I was on
the beginning of this offseason.
I wasn't back then, but I was at the beginning of this offseason. And now to see it come to kind of like a slow stop. He hasn't done anything. He had like 4 snaps last night, and that's over the entirety of preseason. He was injured for like I think a week or 2. And it just was like, dude, this is not a good statement for you. Like, you need a redemption. This is not a redemption. This is I'm gonna just, pitter patter out. So yeah, what to do with Penny, who knows what they'll do. I just hope it's either we trade him to get compensation back. And hey, best of luck to him. But I really don't care. I don't want him around anymore. I'm over it. Or, which I would also be really happy with it too. And that's with him taking the I don't want to say 4th running back spot because usually you only take 3. And DJ Dallas, he's gonna be there no matter what. The dude's a special teams guy, and that's just that. Love him too. He's like the Seahawks sweetheart. Everybody loves him. But yeah, like there's no spot for Penny. There's no special team spot. There's no running back spot. He's just got to go. Or we can kick him to like the 4th running back spot and just hope that he somehow magically shows up. I don't know. That's up to him to decide. He looked fat and slow. I'm gonna be honest. He looked fat and slow last night, and I was just like, really? Are we really about to have an Eddie Lacy without Eddie Lacy being dominant? Like, you just get fat and like just vanish? Like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of that for the running back room. And as much as I see it on Twitter and hear about it from Pete, with him saying always compete, he's definitely done that with the running back room. And I think it's nice though, because we've gotten to be able to see who actually is a dog and who is not a dog. Because, Alex Collins competed, and I think he's going to get rewarded. So that should be that. And now, that leads me to the next position and also another point. The fullback spot. Nick Bellore.
Nick Bellore is a god.
Period. That's it. Nick Bellore is a monster. Now, this is how I think we could have a 4th running back on field on game day, which would kick Penny in to keep him on the team and keep him going, hoping that we can put him in at a couple reps in the regular season to still hold on to that upside, or that boomer bust. And if he's a bust, it doesn't matter because he's way low on the depth chart anyway. And it's not like we're paying him very much. He's still on that rookie contract, so that's good. But Nick Bellore, now I saw it on Twitter, and you said it last. I didn't know you could do this, but Nick Bellore could essentially be marked on the depth chart as a linebacker, which would open up a kind of like a little bit of room for the running backs. And since he's also doubles as a fullback, it kind of helps out in some way because he's a dual player. which, oh my gosh, the dude was amazing last night. I didn't even know that he could even do some of that stuff, and he's kind of turning into like a Taysom Hill, Kyle Juszczyk situation. Like the dude can do anything, and it's kind of nice though because I feel like fullbacks are mostly underappreciated on most teams, and Nick Ballore, I love it. I love it.
Defense.
I guess so. Let's
It wins you championships.
it unless you're the well, I wouldn't say the 2019-2020 Chiefs didn't have a defense, but it definitely wasn't anything to rave about. I mean, I feel like nowadays with Patrick Mahomes and these other outstanding players, sometimes that defense winning you championships number doesn't exactly work. And then you have people like Tom Brady who do it all the time with a top 10 defense despite being mediocre.
Yeah.
So
defensive end: Dunlap, Hyder, Collier. I think
they're all making roster.
Yeah,
So
they're all making roster. They all look solid. I hope Collier makes even more steps to improve. Considering we traded Frank Clark and got him, I'd say Collier's better than Frank Clark, especially for the amount of money they're getting paid.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Then right defensive end, kind of the same story. I think Darrell Taylor, he looked absolutely stellar last night. Had 1.5 sacks. Was running after the quarterback. He is an absolute athletic freak. He is fast. He is able to get around people extremely quick. He's a massive guy. Laid massive hits on people. And I'm actually really excited to see what he can do. Alton Robinson had a pretty solid preseason. Benson Mayowa, I didn't see much of, but I think that they were just kind of benching him and letting him get ready for the season. So I think our end spots are looking pretty good. It's really just a matter of what's going to be going on at nose tackle and defensive tackle in the middle there on that defensive line.
Yeah, I know for sure, definitely. I noticed Benson Mayo on the sideline for that first preseason game. I'm not sure about the others, though, which I don't mind. He's, I think he has a really good season, just as with
our defensive line.
We have just these guys that they got a lot to prove, but they also got a lot to show. Because people like, Kerry Hyder, he was good last year. I'm glad we got him on the team. I definitely think he can get more than 2 sacks, which, mind you, we didn't have more than 3 sacks by mid-season last year, and that was all like
we had Dunlap come in and changed everything.
Oh yeah, the addition of Dunlap and the re-signing of Dunlap this year completely changes everything, and I'm very happy that we get him for an entire season. Even when he was present for the last half, the dude was flipping our defensive line on its back and completely changing like everybody because he was obviously taking a lot of the pressure from the rest of the guys so that they can make their plays, and he was even still performing despite taking a lot of the heat. Jay Collier, this is his third year? Third year? He was pretty good at the end of last season. I'm looking forward to see him make his statement, I guess, because I think I wouldn't ever give up on LJ Collier, except for, his sophomore year? Everybody was like, yeah, LJ Collier sucks. Or yeah, his rookie year, everybody was not too happy about that. But last year kind of lit that fire again. And I think he's gonna get that train moving. Now, with the interior on that defensive line, we got a lot to kind of figure out, I guess, because there's no competition between Puna and Rasheem Green. Like that's just they're fine. Now between Al Woods, Miles Adams, and Robert Kandichi, and even Gerard Hewitt or Hewitt. I would say that's like our least strong and depth thick spot on the defensive line. Al Woods, I'm not sold on Al Woods. And I even, quite frankly, believe that Robert Kandichi gets cut. Dron Hewitt, probably practice squad. I don't know.
Defensive tackle for me, Woods looked good in that second preseason game. Adams and Hewitt probably gone. Kandichi also, I'd assume's probably gone. But I'm more sold on Al Woods. I agree with you in the fact that it's a very weak position, though. But I think Woods will be a solid role player.
Right. He's not going to let the team down.
He's not a number one for sure. But I feel like if you put him at a number two behind somebody, I think you're going to have a pretty good defensive tackle rotation.
Oh, yeah.
Off sign Geno Atkins.
Me and Braden this entire offseason have been kind of like, hey Dunlap, you should text your buddy Geno Atkins, bring him over, because like he'd be cheap, and I know he's coming off of an injury, and he's a little older, but who's to say that he can't have another really good season with his buddy Dunlap on the same line on a better team, might I add, with better depth. So he's not going to be taking a bunch of snaps, and we can, shuffle him in and out. Al Woods at, the second on that, or the second on that rank, on that roster spot behind Geno, that's like perfect. He's like you said, he's not a 1, but he's definitely a 2. And I think we need to. We seriously need to make Geno Atkins happen. That would be very vital.
Linebackers. I think sub linebacker. You got Jordan Brooks, who I know you are not high on Tino. I'm not the highest on him, but I'm definitely higher than you. He's had a good preseason. Those first 2 games looked pretty solid. I would still rather KJ Wright, but I know a lot of people are really high on Jordan Brooks and think that he's going to take that second-year leap. I'm not 100% sold on him. I think the production that he had last year in his limited appearances and how they ramped him up as the year later went on, the offenses that he had that production against weren't the greatest. And I'm not sure how he's going to do over the length of a full season. And we don't really have that much depth outside of him. Obviously,
Nick Bellore.
Yes, Nick Bellore, our Lord and Savior, and God we trust. Like Lakeem Williams, I'm going to be real. I don't know who that is.
He's getting cut. I'm gonna look up. Sorry, I'm gonna look up real quick who are. I think he came from Germany. Who our international player is, because that might be him. Let me double check.
John Reheaton.
Is that true? International.
I'm not sure, but he played at right outside linebacker, and he was great.
It's not even. It's his name is Aaron Donkor.
Donker was also good last night. Donker and Geaton were Geaton. I'm definitely saying that wrong, but both of them were really good last night against the Chargers. I'll just say John. He had some really good plays, and then Donker got some pressure on some people. or on the Chargers a couple times in a row in a couple drives in the third quarter. So I was pretty happy with both of them, but it's sub linebacker with just Jordan Brooks there. Not really sure who else you got. Middle linebacker, you got Bobby and Cody Barton. Solid, fine. Barton was great last night. Forced a strip sack, which turned into a pick six. But outside of Brooks at sub linebacker, you're kind of shaky. With the rest of the linebacking core with Bobby Barton, I think John and Donker could make the roster because of who else do we have at right outside linebacker. So I'd like to see them on the team. They both look solid. But yeah, linebacking core, kind of iffy, but you got Bobby Wagner. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm the biggest Jordan Brooks hater in Seahawks Twitter and Seahawks fandom, but I will definitely say that I'm not sold and have not been sold since the minute we drafted him. I would have loved Patrick Queen. Okay, I know most people will not agree with me on that due to the comparison of stats. Jordan Brooks produced, I would say, the same with less snaps than Patrick Queen did all last season. Well, if you look at who Jordan Brooks played, you really can't make that kind of statement. We played him mostly on our second half of the season and against the worst offenses we've played all season. So I'm not exactly sold. Now, again, I don't like him, not sold on it, but I will say, particularly in the second preseason game, I saw a little bit. I saw a little bit from him, and I was kind of impressed. And if he played like he did in that second preseason game, in the regular season consistently, I will be content with it. And obviously, the whole reason he's a big conversation right now is because we don't have KJ Wright anymore. Because Pete Carroll and that defense are, kind of thrown out the cast on it, seeing how it works and putting their faith in him. Me personally, I would not. I would definitely at least one more year. I wouldn't do the second year on this guy. Even still, with KJ Wright, for some reason, is still not signed to a team. I'm pretty sure it has to do with how much he wants, but still. Get KJ Wright back so Jordan Brooks can develop one more year at least behind, I would say, let's see, maybe 2 top 20 linebackers in the league between KJ Wright and Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
Like, the dude's going to be a prince at that point. I mean, and that's what it was last year. And we don't really have depth right there besides Lakeem Williams. I've heard that name a couple times, but not very often. So why not bring in KJ Wright to really kind of just put this whole put this whole linebacker talk to rest? And we have, we got some people to look forward to between Brooks and Cody Barton on his, third season? This is, right? Yeah, his third season. He was good the first year at linebacker. Last year, or his second year, kind of just lights out. I feel like he was more on special teams kind of guy. And then we got, Nick Ballore, who just all of a sudden decided, hey, I want to play linebacker. And he's doing an exceptional job at it. So yeah, I don't know how the international player stuff works, but isn't it like it's an automatic free roster spot if they are one of the spots? Like Aaron Doncor could be on roster no matter what.
I'm not sure how it works, but I like him.
He seems cool. I mean, like I have no problem with him. I really don't have a problem with any of these linebackers. The only one that I just don't know is Lakeem Williams. And, I mean, if he makes it, he makes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Now, let's go into. Would you like to do safeties or corners?
Let's save corners for last.
Okay. Yes.
There's a lot to say about corners.
Yeah. All right. Safeties. Strong safety. Jamal Adams. I'm glad we got that contract out of the way. I'm happy we got it at the price that we did, despite him being the highest paid. It's good because if he wanted to, he could have gotten us up to 20 mil. But he settled.
Like, the thing is,
Mama Adams.
Yep.
17.5. Take the money.
Yeah. Everybody that says that, oh, Jamal Adams is just a linebacker, linebackers get paid more than safeties. And if you want to call him a linebacker and you want to rank him among the top linebackers in the league, you got Darius Leonard, Bobby Wagner, Fred Warner. Like, those are your kind of number 1, 2, 3. Doesn't really matter what order, whatever. You got a couple other guys there. But compared to what their pay rate is, compared to Jamal Adams, if you want to say that he is a linebacker, by all means, then we just got a massive steal. Because 17.5 for a linebacker is nothing compared to what Darius Leonard, Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner, and a couple of those other guys are being paid. So, for all the Seahawks haters or Jamal Adams Blitz boy talk, have at it. The contract, I will continue to view his contract as he's a linebacker, completely fine. We got him for a steal. For a safety position, yeah, maybe we overpaid. I don't care.
There was even some there were some statements and rumors. One of those was that, and I think that was from his agent. Jamal Adams' agent said weapon money. And yes, like it or not, Jamal Adams is a weapon. The dude, broke or tied the defensive back record for sacks last year?
And he didn't even play in like 3 games.
Yeah, he didn't even play like
he was hurt.
Exactly. Like, the dude, he's a monster, and we got a steal. Paying a weapon 17.5. He can play anything. Probably not corner, but he's still got to work on that. But he reminds me of not a young, but a more fresh Bam Bam Cam Chancellor. Yeah. Like, just a hard-hitting dude. Is just kind of like a homing missile. Doesn't matter where on the field, he's going to get you. He's like, oh, that'd be a cool nickname. Nickname him the Baba Yaga, the boogeyman. The boogeyman of the Seahawks defense. Like, you can't hide from him. He will find you. You might get a nice reception off of him, but, you give and you get.
You're not going to want to get another one.
You're not going to want to get another one, and you're not going to want to have the ball either, because he'll tackle you, and, for some reason, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm glad we got the Jamal over with. He's back at practice. He didn't play any preseason, rightfully so. I wouldn't want him to anyway. So we're good there. Now, the depth between Ryan Neal and Ugo Amadi is listed under strong safety.
Ugo's a slot corner. That's fine.
Yeah.
He plays nickel as well with Marquise Blair. Ryan Neal, I like him. In the games where Jamal didn't play last year, he was solid. I know he talked with Cam Chancellor. Love it. I like Ryan Neal. He's a solid depth guy. Marquise Blair as well. I know he's not listed as a strong safety, but just to kind of go into that slot corner nickel role, I'm happy to see Marquise Blair back. He got a pick last night, returned it. was more of like a fumble strip sack, but whatever. I'm excited to see Blair this year. Hopefully he stays healthy. Ugo as well. He's kind of the KJ Wright of that secondary, and how underrated that he is.
Oh yes, Ryan Neal. I wasn't he. Yeah, he came from San Francisco, right? Or
Neil, he was just a practice squad or an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, that's what I thought he was. I love those stories. Practice squad guys who just show up when they get their chance and they make a statement and they, they stay up there and they don't, fall down the rankings. Ryan Neal did that last year, and I'm really happy to have him. Hopefully, a diamond in the rough. Hey, Jamal Adams needs a little bit of rest. Ryan Neal's got it covered. Don't got to worry about it. And I'm totally content with that. With the free safeties, it's really not okay. There's some names under free safety that I do want to talk about. Marquise Blair's listed under there. Blair, nickel. I'm happy to have him back. I think he could be more versatile than just a nickel. I think he could move into some corner situations, but it's fine. I'm glad he's back because he showed some promise and hope, and I'm excited to see him play a nice, solid regular season. Quandre Diggs, now give him his contract. There's no reason we shouldn't. I know money's tight right now because we got to do this whole Dwayne Brown situation. But if anybody, Quandre Diggs needs to stay on the team because I would say he's a very, very good free safety. He was a steal, might I add. He loves the team. He loves everybody on the team. Him and Jamal Adams are actually I guess I was reading something that before Jamal Adams got traded to the Seahawks, they were talking to each other and they were like, dude, what if you came to Seattle? And it happened, and Quandre Diggs was just talking about how he was so happy to be playing with Jamal Adams with one of his good friends because I think they played in college together or they saw each other. It's really nice to have even that 1-2 punch between Jamal Adams and Quandre. So give him his contract. I don't want this dude sitting out for too long. I don't want him getting tight and rusty because he's one of my favorite defensive players on the team. And yeah, that's about it for Quandre.
All right, moving on to our last position, our last two positions, and left cornerback and right cornerback. We got Akilo, got John Reed, who we got from Houston, got the rookie Trey Brown, Gavin Houslop. Those are all listed as our left cornerbacks. Akilo reminds me a lot of Trey Flowers. We'll get into Trey Flowers when we talk about the other cornerback spot. But Akilo has looked a lot like Trey Flowers, and I do not like that. I'm not 100% on him, but I'm gonna wait until the regular season to actually form an opinion on Akilo. John Reed, I saw him last night. He made one or two solid plays, but he didn't really get that much playing time. I could see him getting a practice squad spot. I didn't really understand the trade, but a conditional 7th round pick is literally nothing. Trey Brown, I love the guy's Twitter presence for sure. Haven't seen him much on the field, but he's all right. I like what I see. Houslop, yesterday especially, he was good at times, and then he was absolutely atrocious at times. Not really the biggest fan of him. He's raw. He can make some plays, but there are also some plays that he doesn't make. And then Demarius Randall, cut him now. Just don't even bother waiting until Tuesday. Cut him now. He was atrocious. He is horrible. He's just not good. He was not good in any of the 3 preseason games. especially last night, by far the worst player on the field, defensively or offensively. We played him at corner. He's listed as a free safety. There's no point in even keeping him around or even thinking about it. He's not good and shouldn't earn any playing time. Joshua Moon as well. He played more of a safety role as well, but he's somebody I would be fine with on the practice squad. He looked okay. Right cornerback, you got Trey Flowers, DJ Reed, and Will Sutherland. He's probably gone. Reed, I think he's going to be our cornerback one. I really like him. I liked what we saw out of him at the end of last year in games against Washington, especially. He shut down Terry McLaurin. And then Trey Flowers. Boy, would I sure like to cut him. Seahawks Twitter, Seahawks fan base seems to love him, or they seem to be pretty split on him. But Trey Flowers, ever since that 2019 Packers divisional round game, he is the reason we lost that game. I'll never forgive him for that. I don't like Trey Flowers. He looked okay last year at times, but when the dude lines up 15 yards back on DeAndre Hopkins on like 3rd and 7, it is just so infuriating. And I don't know if that's a coaching problem or that's just how he plays. But when you line up that far back in the fear of getting absolutely burnt, you are not good. I'm sorry. You do not deserve any playing time.
I miss
He looked
Richard
okay
Sherman.
in the second preseason game, but I will remain put on I do not like Trey Flowers. I don't think he deserves any playing time. I think we should re-sign Richard Sherman and play him as well because we need him.
I 100% agree. Now, I remember vaguely watching that divisional playoff round against the Packers and hearing just you scream at the top of your lungs, "Fuck Trey Flowers." And it was the funniest thing, but also one of the saddest things in the world, getting absolutely dusted by Devontae Adams. Now, you can say Devontae Adams is a top wide receiver. It's gonna happen.
The way that Trey Flowers was burned was
it was pitiful. He'd get burned.
You didn't see him on the screen.
No,
you
didn't even see him
was
on
not in the
the
view of
TV.
the camera.
And what would happen is he'd watch him catch it, and then he'd watch him just run. He wouldn't even go for a tackle, and it's just, I can't stand the dude. He needs to go. I recently have been seeing, like, I don't know about you, but I'm a bit more of a Twitter presence on Seahawks Twitter.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot more, lot less Trey Flower sympathizers. I feel like I'm like the top guy for that, or one of the top guys, because if I get a chance, I will say that Trey Flowers sucks, and he should just not be on the team. And like, we saw, me and you even noticed this last night against the Chargers.
Yeah.
For every snap he got, there was like one good coverage he got. Everything else, he watched people tackle. He was always standing next to the pile. He never did anything. And he was always like 10 yards off of the corner. Or off of the receiver, sorry. And he's just a freaking nuisance. And I don't know why some of these people are trying to say, like, oh, there's still hope. It's kind of the similar with this Rashad Penny stuff. Like, oh, there's still hope for Rashad Penny. Or there's still hope for Trey Flowers. No. Rumor is that Trey Flowers from Pete Carroll, which, anything from Pete is 50-50 if he's lying or not, or just said Trey Flowers has had the best practice of his career. Practice. Keyword. Practice. I don't think, because practice is vital. But when you're Trey Flowers, at that point, you're only doing good at practice so you can stay on roster. I swear if we re-sign this dude next year or by the end of this year, I am going to just, I don't know. It's going to be a bad day. Yeah, so I don't, and it sucks that our corner situation is like this because he's going to be on the roster. I was really hoping with some of the people we added that they would be better. Not to say that they're bad, but I wish they were better to the point where Trey Flowers would get, knocked down that ranking system and be at the bottom of the barrel where it's like, oh, is he going to get cut? I wish. But at this point, not likely at all. And he's probably going to be starting at some points and more rotational than anything. And I feel like he's rubbing off on Akilo because we all saw Akilo Witherspoon do the same thing, backing up like 6 yards off the dude when it's third and 4.
Yeah.
3rd and 2. Oh, that they're going to throw a screen right there. Just play man. Like Akilo, I feel like from what I saw and heard is when he was with the 49ers, he did the same thing. Every time he was in zone, he sucked. But when he was on man, he was pretty good. And same goes with Trey Flowers. We just need to stop this whole zone crap and just get dudes just like right on. Okay, we need to get dudes just lined up right on each other because like every time I remember watching Richard Sherman, he was in the dude's face. He was talking shit to the receiver. Like that's why Richard Sherman was like so hated with some of these receivers because he'd be up at the line, up in their face, talking shit, and he wouldn't get fucking burned. And that's why he was so good. But if you have to line back so far because you're afraid you're going to get burned, that is not good. You got to work on that, man. And especially, like, you got to stay consistent. You can't be like, you covered a guy for a deep pass, but you gave up a screen for 11 yards. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Just stay consistent. I'm kind of confused, but I'm not like mad about it. With DJ Reed, I don't even think he played a single snap of preseason, which, I mean, it kind of sounds to me like we're valuing him way more than Akilo and any of these other guys. I do as well. I think he probably will be the top corner, assuming Akilo just like suddenly just, hey guys, I'm actually good. I mean, Akilo will definitely be the second corner behind DJ Reed. Now, there are some other people in the depths between Trey Brown that I think Trey Brown, this is his
much, and he is not gonna get very many snaps
or chances, but the future is very, very bright with him. I definitely see and it kind of sounds hypocritical because of Trey Flowers, but I just have a different feeling about Trey Brown that I feel like he could be really good. And it would sure help if a veteran presence by the name of Richard Sherman was on roster to give him some pointers and just kind of like help this cornerback room, because you look at it and you're just like, okay, sure. I mean, we're definitely giving up a lot of passing yards this season. There's no like, oh yeah, we'll be real good. We're not gonna give up as many as we did last year. I think we'll probably give up the same, if not a teeny bit more. Probably less. I mean, unless some of these players start doing good, which I hope they do.
I think having Jamal healthy for a season is going to help that.
Yeah.
Also, our schedule not going up against literally nothing but pass-heavy teams.
Mm-hmm.
that'll help when we don't
Oh
go
yeah.
up against the Falcons, who do nothing but throw it. Go up against the Cowboys with Dak, who do nothing but throw it.
Yeah.
So that'll help.
That'll that's a big help for sure. And I just can't wait, man. I need regular season football. I need to see
Yes.
what these dudes are really about, because for all I know, Kilo could be just like not going 100% because he doesn't want to get injured. So
Yeah.
and one last thing for this cornerback situation, and I was really kind of confused and I was not very happy about it. But I guess with the whole contentions with it and just how it works, the trade for John Reed, that seems, it doesn't make sense to me, but it's fine. But if anything happens, unless that dude is really good and he's gonna be at least like third or fourth corner on the roster, then I don't see any reason having him, because yeah, a 7th round pick, it's literally nothing, but I would much rather have it than not have it. And keeping and holding on to some dude like this where he just really didn't do anything and he's nothing special. Like, I'm not gonna just hold on to a practice squad guy or just a mediocre, lame dude. So I would rather have that pick back and test it on something else, or even use the pick to trade for somebody else. Because, we all know how John Schneider can, we all know what he can do with some of these draft picks and trading for, good players. And so it's, we'll just have to see how this all plays out. But my hope is that we don't really keep him and just get that pick back, because I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Is that all of? I think that is all of defense. So, I think, yeah, that should be it for defense, and then offense is done. Now, I'm just gonna say it just because I can. I hope DJ Dallas is getting returns. I hope he's the return guy. Between DJ Dallas and Tyler Lockett, please.
I don't think Lockett's going to get any returns. He's too valuable of a receiver.
Yeah. I don't know. It wouldn't bother me very much, but now obviously Dixon and some dude named Jason Myers. Never heard of the guy. He might be bad. I don't know. No.
Dude hasn't missed a kick in 2 years.
Nope. He's a god. Sometimes I just don't really care for the special teams, but I feel like this year I'm just going to look into it a little more, because we have a top 3 special teams.
Oh, yeah.
Like Dixon and Myers are really good. And
for sure.
Weren't we like ranked top 5 special teams by the end of last year?
Yeah.
Like we're pretty good at that stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward mostly for DJ Dallas, because the couple returns he had in that second preseason game, he got to like the minimum, the 40-yard line every time. I think it was like 3 or something, but he's just a fun dude to watch. But other than that, that's offense and defense. We kind of started lacking on the whole who's getting cut, but we were just kind of at that point by defense, who's going to be around and who can we trust, because that's all that matters with some of this defensive positions, because it's mostly just question marks. But yeah, that should be it for roster and roster cuts. We're gonna just quickly go over a little preseason recap. Week 1, we lost to the Raiders 7-20. What was that? Only a DJ Dallas
it was just that DJ Dallas touchdown.
And that was about it.
McGaw was bad. got
Yeah,
cut.
me and Braden were both at a Royals game, so we didn't really get to see it like in full because
Mhm.
they have bad connection up there. And other than that, like it was okay. I didn't really care for it too much.
There weren't too many standouts.
Yeah, it was kind of just like all right guys, let's get going. Like, you know,
Mm.
start the train moving. Um
Same kind of story in
so
that
a week
3 Broncos game.
yeah, week 2 against the preseason week 2 against the Broncos, 3-30, humiliating. But it was third string, so I didn't really care very much. Now, I would say one of the biggest reasons was Alex Magoo. Like, be too high on it, even in general. But one standout, which wasn't even a good standout, it was a bad standout, was Alex Magoo. And so he got cut the next day.
Yep.
And
Not
then
much else.
yeah, not much else with week 2. Actually, there was a little bit here and there, but it really wasn't anything surprising. Now,
Jordan Brooks had a
the
good
one
game.
that's
That's about it.
now week 3 Chargers preseason. I'm gonna
Alex Collins
keep
is a
saying
good
that
one.
because if I say week 3, I'm just gonna like mess up. So 27 to nothing. It was a win, and I feel like it is the most fresh because it was last night. So our opinions are gonna be pretty high on some of the stuff because it's we still remember most of it. And even if we had some standout players last night,
Mhm.
like Nick Ballore and
Cody Barton,
Cody
Alex
Barton,
Collins.
and Blair showing up, like it wasn't a
Hell
dead
Stop
game.
was solid.
Yeah, like, and we've we got
John and
Gino.
Donker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We got Geno Smith back for the last one. Luckily, because there's no way I was gonna watch Manning. Is it Manning or Mannion? I think it's Mannion.
Mannion.
We got to see. I was not about to watch Mannion do the whole game because that was gonna suck. But he's not terrible, but he's not great. It's just kind of whatever. But yeah, I do say it was. Well, it's not hard to tell that it was the best one. Kind of surprised we didn't let him score at all, though. So that's kind of interesting to note about. But other than that, it's pretty good. Now, we're not gonna do go very far into. We're probably just only gonna go to like week 3. Just kind of as like a warm up because just kind of see how this beginning of the season is going to play out. And we're just going to make some assumptions. None of this is set in stone. This isn't some of them might be our hot takes, but take it all with a grain of salt because we don't even know. Well, we can assume that Carson Wentz will play week 1, and with that, I'll just go right into it. Week 1 against the Colts. We can assume.
I don't really think it matters who the quarterback is. I think we win that game.
Oh yeah.
T.Y. Hilton's out with
agree.
an injury. That happened a couple minutes ago. No, not minutes ago. A couple hours ago.
Oh really? Did that? What
he's not
was
gonna
it?
play. He's gonna miss the first couple weeks. I'm scared of Jonathan Taylor, but our run defense is far superior to our pass defense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not too worried about Taylor. Michael Pittman, I think he's a good player. I think he's kind of a breakout guy. I'll keep a close eye on him. That Colts defense is going to be brutal. It's going to be a great test for our offensive line.
Yes.
DeForest Buckner especially. We have very fond memories of playing him. When he was on the Niners. Darius Leonard, great linebacker. It's going to be hard for Carson, Collins, Dallas, whoever else we have at running back. It's going to be hard for them to get past him. That secondary has Xavier Rhodes. I think he'll provide a pretty solid challenge for DK or Lockett, whoever he goes up against. I think it's Justin Blackman. He was a rookie last year, was really good.
Mm-hmm.
He should be playing. I think he was a safety. I forget, but he's a good safety over the top. It'd be interesting to see if he does anything noticeable. Outside of that, that Colts defense kind of shaky. Um, they would always have one really good half of football and then one really bad half of football. So I think Seattle can pull out a dub there for sure.
I
think Russ gets started and Waldron calls a good game.
I will say that just in general, I will say it will be it will be a win. Now, that's not to say that I'm not going to be surprised if it's a loss, just because that's game one of real football with a brand new offensive coordinator. Now there are things in our favor with their quarterback situation. We will win if it's Carson Wentz. We will win if it's Jacob Eason. Right? Yeah. We'll win either way. Now, as well as Quentin Nelson, I'm kind of surprised they're getting Quentin Nelson and Carson Wentz back so early. Like, I thought they would be back by like second or third week between both of them, but they're just which is kind of making me like worry for them, because I don't hate the Colts. The Colts are an interesting team that I don't really have any hate for them, but if I could recommend anything to them, it's I would probably leave the injury-prone quarterback not playing yet, because the last time he played us, he got schmacked and injured, and I don't think
the only 3 times he played us when he was on the Eagles, we won.
Yeah, we won, and he got injured like the most recent one, or no,
the playoff game.
The playoff game, and even without taking us into factor, don't jump the gun on Carson Wentz. Quentin Nelson, I'm not entirely sure what his situation's about. I know he just wants to get back on the field, but I even wouldn't risk your best offensive lineman. Like, and that's not me like, please go easy on us. No, it's just kind of like, dude, I don't want to be I don't want to jump on Twitter the next day or that night and hear a bunch of Colts fans and people complaining that we re-injured their 2 most valuable players on offense. Well, Carson Wentz isn't really, but he's definitely up there next to Jonathan Taylor and Quentin Nelson. But I would not risk your guys, because I just it's week 1. Come on, you just give up. Just give it up. So yeah, it'll be a very interesting game nonetheless, just with offensive defense of both teams, seeing the different aspects, and we'll just get to see how that we'll just have to see when the time comes. Now, week 2, the Titans. I'll let you start off with this.
Also another game I'm pretty optimistic about. That Titans defense is atrocious. I'm not really too scared of Julio Jones, knock on wood. Derrick Henry does scare me, but the same kind of thing. I think our run defense is going to be good. A.J. Brown, also a good receiver. They don't really have a tight end. They're getting Taylor Lewan back. That offensive line's going to be solid. It's pretty average. But I think it's going to be kind of a shootout of a game. 2 of the offenses going back and forth. I think we'll probably win it, but it's definitely going to be a high-scoring game, and we're going to notice a lot of flaws on the defensive side of the ball that will probably need some fixing. And it'll be good to get that out of the way. That would be a game I wouldn't be surprised if we lost, but I am kind of expecting us to win.
I don't remember what we put for our predictions. Me and Braden, we do this every year before the regular season. We go through every single game from every single team in the regular season and predict win or loss. So that's kind of what I'm referring to right now. Who did we have winning that game?
I think we had us winning.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, I 50-50. I'm more like for sure for week 1 against the Colts than I am week 2 with the Titans because the Titans are such a like offensive heavy team against us who is a offensive heavy team. Now, that's not to say that our defense is not as good as theirs because our defense is better than theirs in almost every position. Uh, actually, yes, in every in every position we are better than their defense. Them signing Bud Dupree does not mean anything. And even if Bobby Wagner is better, like, and you can't really, I know you can't like compare and contrast position to position because it's kind of just like they don't face each other. But if we're really just kind of looking at it as a whole, our defense is probably most likely going to have a better offense than their defense stopping our offense. So we'll just have to see. Is that? It is. I think it is in Seattle. Yes, it is in Seattle. So that'll be the first game back with the 12s. I'm really excited to kind of see some of these players that didn't get a chance, notably Jamal Adams, that didn't get to experience the 12s because have that without fans and even at should be CenturyLink Field, but things change. Lumen Field. The best home field advantage with that is the 12s and how loud it is and just the energy in that stadium. And what are we? Didn't we go like? No, we went undefeated on the road last year, didn't we? We went undefeated on the road.
7-1
or 7-1. That's right. So, which I mean,
we were 7-1 in 2019.
That's true. Yeah. Which is kind of good though too because it's like we have a really good home field advantage, and we didn't have the 12s, and the fans and stuff. So if we can be good on the road as well as getting that extra oomph back with the home, you got yourself a good team with good aspects. And so I'm really, honestly, I'm more excited for that than most of these games because of just, people getting experience and the players getting to experience it too. So I think, yeah. So yours was to chalk this game up, and then we'll go on to one more. You said we were going to win, right? That's your prediction?
Yeah.
My prediction would probably have to be a win as well because just the aspect of Lumen Field and the fans. So last one we'll do is week 3 against the Vikings. This is in Minnesota. I will let you take this.
Thank God it's not a primetime game because the amount of Vikings primetime games I've had to watch over the past 5 years, it seems like, has been insane.
I feel like 90% of the Seahawks highlights against the Vikings or like Seahawks Vikings game highlights are usually 90% us and our highlighters on like a Monday night or a Sunday night.
Gosh. No, especially that game last year was just
oh my gosh.
But no, I think we're kind of in the same situation as that Titans game. I know the Vikings literally just re-signed Harrison Smith to an extension contract. He's a really good safety. I'm not really sure how their corner situation is. I know that they released their first round corner pick last year. Jeff Gladney, I think, was his name. Their defense doesn't really scare me too much. That defensive line's pretty solid with Danielle Hunter. I think they have Everson Griffin back as well. But I think our offense especially our offensive line is better than it was last year when we played them because that was kind of the main issue. I hope Dalvin Cook doesn't absolutely destroy us like he did last time. Again, I kind of think our run defense will be able to hold him As long as they're not able to have the ball for the entire half like they did last time.
Oh my
I
god.
think that's another game that we should be able to win. I that would be the game that I'd be the most disappointed at if we had lost. But that offense, Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, really solid core of guys. Alexander Madison's a solid number 2, but that game would be the most disappointing if we lost it, just because of how much success we've had against the Vikings. And I think we just kind of need to continue this trend of beating them.
Keep our dominance over them.
Yeah.
Best I can say about the game is, I just don't. My biggest concern for that entire roster is between Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. Now, the last time we played them, it wasn't Justin Jefferson. It was Adam Thielen going off.
Shaquille Griffin couldn't cover.
Exactly. So, they got a really good 1-2 combo at wide receiver that I'm more worried about Thielen than anybody else because of what he did last time and what he can do. I just hope we game plan for him better, but with not at a cost of letting Dalvin Cook or Justin Jefferson get away with everything. But I think our offense can outrun theirs. So, like you said, it'll be the same thing as the Titans. Our defensive situation on both teams, I would say they're a little comparable, except we have a little bit more depth and talent, bit more depth and talent than they do. And so, I know preseason has nothing to do with how they will perform in the regular season, but me and Braden just recently were at a Vikings-Chiefs preseason game, and they got smacked pretty hard. And it was kind of just like a fourth quarter, third string little comeback, which doesn't mean anything, but the first quarter is all that matters. And I understand that they were facing Patrick Mahomes, and the whole crew over there. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we're not that different from the Chiefs offense in the way that, except for the offensive line, as far as weapons, we're not that much different. We're not as good, except for running back. We're not as good, but it's not like it's a drastic difference. And even from what we saw, the Vikings defense was not good. They got whooped. I think the Chiefs, in both of their starter drives, one was 4 plays to get downfield and score at the beginning of the game, and then the other one was 10 plays, maybe, I think. I don't know. I don't remember quite for sure, but it didn't really look promising for them. I think they got a bit to do as far as that defense is concerned, and that's why I don't really think that it would be too much of a problem. So I would probably have to say that it will be a win, and so, which kind of seems... I try my best to not seem biased, but between the 3 games that we just talked about, the most likely to lose is probably the week 1 with the Colts. I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be mad. I'll be mad, but I'm not going to be surprised because I know it's week 1, and that's just kind of how things work. Got to figure some stuff out. So yeah, ending off with that, that will be the end of this Seahawks episode edition, whatever you'd like to call it, podcast on the Prime
I've got to figure out
Sports
a name.
Network. Well, what do you mean? Like the Seahawks part of it? Yeah. We'll have to develop a name for the Seahawks portion of these podcasts on the Prime Sports Network. We'll just have to see how this regular season starts and kicks off. Not sure when we'll get back to you with another episode, but we'll just have to see. I will sign off there. Anything else you want to say?
All right, not really. Go Hawks.